Ancient Greece gave the world democracy, philosophy, mathematics, the Olympic Games, and also this guy. His name was Diogenes of Sinope. He was a philosopher, technically. He was also history's greatest troll, a man who declared war on all human civilization and whose primary weapons were shamelessness, a walking stick, and an almost supernatural commitment to the bit. He lived in a fucking barrel. He owned literally nothing else. Well, he used to have a bowl, but we'll get into that later. He urinated on people who annoyed him, which, as it turns out, was mostly everybody. And he is genuinely one of the most important thinkers in Western history. Or that's what people say. I think he was just a big troll. This is Diogenes' story. Now, Diogenes didn't start out as history's most feral philosopher. He started out as the son of a banker in the city of Sinope, on the coast of the Black Sea. And for a while, things were going fine. Then he and his father got caught debasing the currency, essentially counterfeiting coins. And they were both exiled from the city forever. Most people, when exiled from their homeland in disgrace, might reflect, repent, try to rebuild. Diogenes went to the oracle at Delphi to ask what he should do with his life. The oracle told him to, and I quote, deface the currency, which, and this is important, and just what I said, is exactly what he'd just been exiled for doing. Diogenes decided this was not a literal instruction, though. He decided the oracle meant he should deface the currency of society, its values, its customs, its pretensions. He should challenge everything people took for granted. And he spent the next several decades doing exactly that with tremendous enthusiasm. Oh boy, he just loved it. So let's get into it. He moved to Athens, the intellectual capital of the ancient world, home to Plato and Socrates and the greatest philosophical minds of the age. He moved into a large ceramic jar in the marketplace. He was home. What followed was approximately 40 years of one man systematically dismantling every social norm he encountered, one incident at a time. Let's go through those highlights. First off, Diogenes used to walk through Athens in the middle of the day holding a lit lamp, and when people asked him what he was doing, he would say, "I'm looking for an honest man." He never found one. He kept walking for years. To be clear, this was not a joke to Diogenes. This was a philosophical statement about the moral bankruptcy of Athenian society. It was also extremely annoying to everyone around him. Now, this one's my personal favorite. The plucked chicken. Plato, the most respected philosopher in Athens, had defined the human being as a featherless biped. He was very proud of this definition. So Diogenes, being Diogenes, found a chicken, plucked all the feathers off. He walked it into Plato's academy, held it up, and announced to the class, "Behold, Plato's man," and dropped that shit on the ground and it splattered. Plato was forced to revise his definition of humanity to include having flat nails. Diogenes had one. And this is not going to be the last victory he has, I'll tell you that. Wait till we get to the bowl. Diogenes and Plato hated each other, by the way. Plato called him Socrates gone mad. Diogenes called Plato's philosophical lectures a waste of time, and he regularly showed up to them to eat loudly and make rude comments. He was literally here to just throw shade. Now, at some point, Alexander the Great, conqueror of most of the known world at this point, arguably the most powerful human being alive, came to visit Diogenes. Alexander had heard of this famous philosopher who lived in a jar and said outrageous things, and he was curious. He stood before Diogenes, flanked by his entire retinue, and said, "And I want you to feel the weight of this moment. Ask anything of me. I will grant it." Alexander the Great offering a blank check to a man in a literal freaking ceramic jar. Diogenes looked up at him and he said, "Get out of my fucking lap, boy." Alexander reportedly stood there for a moment, then turned to his generals and said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." Now, don't quote me on this, but it's said that Diogenes also responded with, "If I wasn't Diogenes, I would also wish to be Diogenes." This guy had immense aura. Next up, we have the market philosophy. Now, Diogenes decided the appropriate venue for serious philosophical discourse was not the academy, where he was fucking with Plato most of the time. It was the fish market, the wrestling ground, the streets, bro. He would eat in the marketplace, which was considered deeply uncouth, and when people criticized him for it, he pointed out that the marketplace was also where people got hungry, so it seemed like the logical place to eat. When he was caught doing other, less printable things in public, choking the chicken, but not the one that Plato held, he said he wished it were just as easy to relieve hunger by rubbing his stomach. He truly had an answer for everything. Now, getting into what Diogenes owned, at various points in his life, he had one cloak, a walking stick, and a wooden bowl. He saw a kid drinking from cupped hands one day, and he said, fuck this bowl. Why am I using this useless piece of shit? I can just cup my hands and drink straight from the spigot, you know? When he saw another child using a piece of bread as a plate, he reportedly felt embarrassed that a child had outsimplified him. He walked up to the kid, he saw it, he was like, oh, what? Was this guy fucking eating food off of a piece of bread? What the hell am I doing here? What am I doing with this plate? This piece of shit plate? I have a bowl and a plate? I don't know. I got the ceramic pit of a hell house that I live in. Why do I need this? I got the stick. I don't need a bowl or you know, a plate. That's stupid. He lived on scraps, slept outside or in his jar, and survived an Athens winter with nothing but a thin cloak. When someone saw him doing this, they said, "Isn't that uncomfortable?" Diogenes replied that discomfort was excellent training for indifference to discomfort. This fucker literally was saying that, yeah, bro, you gotta be discomfortable so that it's like you're not discomfortable. So, like, you know, they didn't like him. They didn't like him for that. They didn't like him for a lot of stuff. Now, because of that, people started calling Diogenes the dog. You know, that was meant as an insult because, you know, he was gross and peed everywhere and did whatever and, you know, lived in a jar and didn't have anything. But he took it as a compliment. He argued that dogs were better philosophers than humans. A dog, he pointed out, doesn't worry about appearances. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. It eats when hungry, sleeps when tired, barks at what deserves barking at, and ignores what doesn't matter. He said he wanted to live like a dog. He largely succeeded. Imagine Diogenes plopping around and just, you know, pooping in the street, and then he just sees this bulldog walking by. He's got his iced out chain. He's freaking got his sunglasses on. He's riding a skateboard. That guy would be pissed. Now, his followers became known as the Cynics, from the Greek word for dog, kynikos. It's where we get the word cynical today. Though the original meaning was less bitter and jaded and more so free from social illusion that you'll eat scraps in public without shame. Now, I might be, as they say, cynic back then, as I will be at the KFC eating whatever scraps I can find on my plate. You know that chicken skin that you might not eat? Not this guy. This guy eats them. I'm cynical. Don't catch me at KFC, all right? You're not gonna like what you see. Now, how Diogenes died is actually contested. Accounts include, this guy held his breath on purpose until he died. He ate a raw octopus and got food poisoning. And my favorite one is he simply lied down one day and just decided he was done. But before he died, he reportedly told his friends not to bother with a funeral. Just throw him outside the city walls for the animals. His friends said that was undignified, that he deserved a proper burial. He said, then lay my stick beside me so I can drive them off. His friends said he'd be dead. He couldn't drive anything off. Diogenes said, then what does it matter? Oh my God. Diogenes is like those guys at work that you work with, you know, in food service, and they're like, what's even the fucking point? Now, they buried him anyway, and a marble pillar with a stone dog on top was erected in his honor, but he would have hated it. Now, normally I have something to say about history and how all of these little things coincide and bring us together for an emotional roller coaster and how amazing history is, and I'm very serious about it, but it's Diogenes. What do you want me to say? The guy ate, he slept, he died, and he fucked with everybody he could. I think we've got enough out of Diogenes as we could possibly have, and I don't think he would want a serious outlook for this video, so you know what? He's not gonna get it. Here's a picture of a dog in his honor. Thank you, Diogenes. Now, if I made you laugh and you are a little bit uncomfortable about your own possessions, good. That means it worked. Get rid of your house. You don't need that. You got sticks outside. Go build yourself one. All right, maybe 3 sticks. You don't even need four sticks for a house. Are you kidding me? Diogenes would be rolling in his grave. Okay, buddy. Get rid of that plate. Get rid of the fork. You don't need those. You have the ground for a reason. Now, next up, we are going to go into the Rosenhan experiment. And that one's a lot darker than this one. I'll say this one's really funny. Rosenhan's about to get really dark. This guy pretends to be insane to show you how messed up stuff is in insane asylums and stuff. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you there. Have a good one, and bye-bye.